Good evening, everyone. Today is April the 18th of 2023. Time is now 6:04 p.m. This is the regular scheduled meeting of the Richland 1 Board of Commissioners. I do have a statement to read that says, pursuant to the Freedom of Information Act, which is FOIA, the public has been provided access to the live stream of tonight's meeting via the district's website at www.richland1.org, as well as in person with limited seating. We do have an executive session before us. Is there a motion from the board?
Madam Chair, I move that we go into executive session.
Second.
There is a motion on the floor by Commissioner Bishop to go into executive session. It's been properly seconded by Commissioner Myers. Clyburn, I'm sorry. We will now open the floor for question or discussion. Seeing none, hearing none, we will call for the vote. Manually, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those that oppose say nay. The ayes have it. The board will be granted executive session to discuss the following under the Office of Human Resources: contract renewals and non-renewals for the 23-24 year, administrative hires, administrative appointments, as well as the hiring of personnel. At this time, the board will recess for executive session. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Again, we want to welcome you to Richland School District 1 Board of Commissioners regular scheduled meeting. Today is, again, April the 18th of 2023. Time is now 7 p.m. Board of Commissioners have been in executive session to discuss contract renewals, non-renewals, administrative hire, administrative appointments, as well as the hiring of personnel. We do want to state that, again, that pursuant to the Freedom of Information Act, which is FOIA, the public has been provided access to the live stream of the meeting on tonight at the district's website, which is www.richland1.org, as well as you all are seated tonight in person with limited seating. Our executive session did end at 6:21 p.m. Motion was made by Commissioner Myers, was seconded by Commissioner Devine, and the vote was unanimous. At this time, we'll move forward into our public session and call to order, beginning with the invocation being presented on tonight by Commissioner Bishop.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Before we go together in unity of prayer, thought, and invocation, I want to read this quick thought that deals with the remarkable we. It says, we, the willing, led by the unknowing, are doing the impossible for the ungrateful. We have done so much with so little for so long, we are now qualified to do anything with nothing. The thought of that is that we are only as strong as we are. And so we are the remarkable we, and we can do anything. May we bow in prayer. Good evening to the omniscient, the omnipresent, the all-knowing, the all-powerful. We thank you for listening to us tonight as a community that comes together as we. Lord, as we sit here as commissioners, we ask that you remove the me and put us in the seat of we, as we are here to believe that our mission and our vision is that we are Richland 1, a leader at transforming lives through education. So as we come to this meeting tonight, let every idea, every thought be with the we, so that everyone will know that we were here to do the work of Richland 1. It's in Jesus' name that I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so very much, Commissioner Bishop, for providing that invocation. At this time, before we move forward in our agenda adoption along the lines of invocation, I ask that we pause yet again for a moment of silence. Yesterday, we laid to rest one of our 18-year-olds. On today, we laid to rest a 6-year-old of our district. So a moment of silence as we reflect, but also to remember our Keenan and our Kaufman Road Elementary family, our teachers that have been greatly impacted. So if we will at this time just pause for a moment of silence. Thank you so very much. As we often say, when one hurt, all hurt. When we lose a kid, whether we birth them or not, they're ours. So we lost 2 babies. As we move on in our agenda on tonight, we will call for the adoption of the agenda. What is the pleasure of the board?
Move for approval.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Bishop, second by Commissioner Devine. We'll open the floor at this time for question or discussion. Seeing none, hearing none, we will call for the vote, and we are manual or electronic? We are electronic. Let the record reflect the vote is unanimous. The agenda for tonight's meeting has been approved. We'll now move on to School Board Spotlight, which is being presented on tonight by Commissioner Myers and Commissioner Lomanag.
Good evening. This is the School Board Spotlight. Richland 1 has been recognized at the state level for the district effort to implement energy-saving measures. We are pleased to have Stacy Washington, Deputy Director of South Carolina Energy Office, with us tonight. Ms. Washington will tell us about the award and make the presentation.
Yes, good evening, everyone.
Go to the mic.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to congratulate Richland County School District 1 on their achievement of Energy Project of the Year. This award is given by the Association of South Carolina Energy Managers, and I'll give you a little bit of information about the project they're winning for. So Schneider Electric has been in an energy savings contract with Richland County School District 1 for a few years now, and this is phase 2 of their project. This project is for 8.7 megawatts of rooftop solar at 15 of the district's campuses, including several carports. As I mentioned, this is the second phase of a project, with the first phase focusing on energy conservation. And as we say in the Energy Office, always do energy efficiency before renewables. So we're glad that you all did that to minimize the need for more solar than is necessary. So during this contract, they also will be saving from this part of the project $1.4 million annually. And this will offset the energy from the grid, 74% from the schools that were outfitted with the solar. In addition to the solar project, they have educational and marketing benefits for the community. They have software that has been implemented at the schools, so when you go into the schools and the monitors and the lobbies, you can see how much energy is being generated by the solar projects. You can also have curriculum at these schools. So these schools will have been presented with educational curriculum to learn about the renewables, to learn about the solar, and that was provided also by Schneider Electric. So we'd like to congratulate Richland 1 on this project. Miles Hanley, the energy manager, for doing such a great job in managing the project, Schneider Electric for the assistance of being the performance contractor. So this is Energy Project of the Year as presented by the Association of South Carolina Energy Managers. Congratulations. That's awesome.
While they're putting that award back, I took note of Mr. Carlin, who's our chief operator over there, standing up and applauding. And we celebrate with you because to our taxpayers, $1 million saving?
1.4.
That's passed on to our taxpayers. And I believe we're one of the first districts in this area that's taking on this project. So to those that are not really grasping what happened tonight, when we first embarked on this journey with Snyder, some didn't believe, as often when we go out on these ventures. But when Snyder started talking about the savings, the 50-something million dollars over so many years, what we saw was a savings that could be passed on to you. It's money that we don't have to ask for to run our district. But to know we're saving that much of taxpayers' dollars a year by going solar, and as I shared with Commissioner Weston right now, I'll just point out one school in particular, and you correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Shutt. We have a high school that is solar powered at 99%. So we're only getting 1% of our energy for probably the second largest high school energy, which is Lower Richland, is solar powered at 99%. 1% is coming from Dominion. And I believe the energy that we don't use in the grid, we sell that back. So I just want the taxpayers to really hear what this project really means for us and be thankful. I'm thankful to be a part of a board and have a superintendent that jumped on a project of this magnitude that is saving money so we can use those dollars in other places for our students and for our communities. Dr. Witherspoon, I know you have something you want to say, and I even want to hear from you, Mr. Miles. I know the board would love to hear from you. This man can talk energy savings, y'all, like nobody you've ever heard. But we want to hear from you, Miles, because you've been the front running this project, and I heard Dr. Witherspoon ask you if you wanted to say something, so we're just going to give you the floor, because some of the board knows you and some of the board don't. But this is the man behind the project that's been working closely with Snyder. As you've heard them talk about the curriculum, you go in a lot of these schools, you will see the panels up that's showing us how much energy we are saving. So, the Mr. Miles.
I wasn't prepared to say anything, but I will say this. Renewable energy has been a passion of mine. Before Snyder came to us with their offer, I had put an RFP out, and I think that kind of gave them a little jab that that Richland was interested in doing solar. I really feel it's important that as a citizen of the world, we need to watch how we use our resources, and we also need to make sure that we're making a positive impact on our ozone layer, on global warming, and removing as much as possible fossil fuels is going to help do that. And that's what renewable energy does. So although we have won this award and although we are being recognized for what we're doing, I just want people to know that Mission 1 is not finished. We put renewable solar panels at 15 of our schools, at 15 of our schools, but we have a lot more schools.
That's right.
So I don't want our vision to be short-sighted. So we want to think big, and I think Richland 1 and the board and the superintendent has allowed me as the energy manager to think big. And so I just want to let you guys know that we're not finished.
Madam Chair, members of the board, and certainly to Mr. Hanley, he's being very modest. He's won some state awards for his energy management work in Richland 1. And again, we want to salute you for a job well done. Certainly to Mr. Carlin and the rest of the shop, because this is a team effort. And as always, and Justin has been with us and working with the team and all of that, and even finances. This is a team effort, but certainly that vision and purpose credit also goes to this board. Again, when we bring things to this board, hey, we think this will help, and the board supports those actions. So again, just speaks to Team 1. Richland 1, and thank you all for doing this.
Thank you so much, Dr. Witherspoon. We'll now move on to public participation. This is when an individual has an opportunity to sign up for an agenda or non-agenda item. On tonight, we don't have any participants, so we will move on to the consent agenda with 6.1, our minutes for March 28th, and 2 contract extensions. If there's no objection from the board, I'd like to read all 3 in where we can take one collective vote. 6.1 is the minutes for March 28th. 6.2 is the contract extension for E-rate eligible network electronics hardware and support. And 6.3 is contract extension for information technology professional services. What's the pleasure of the board?
Move for approval.
Second.
Been moved by Commissioner Myers, second by Commissioner Bishop. We'll now open up the floor for any question or discussion on any item. Seeing none, hearing none, we will call for one collective vote on all the consent agenda items. Electronically. The vote is unanimous. All of the previous items mentioned under the consent agenda have been approved. We'll now move to the Office of Academics. Our Special Education Department is here on tonight, and we will bring to the mic Dr. Hagwood.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Commissioners, Dr. Witherspoon. Each April, students, parents, and advocates across the globe celebrate Autism Awareness Month. This celebration gives us the opportunity to honor not only the tremendous contributions of our neurodivergent friends, but also the tireless efforts of our parents, special service staff members, and of course you. As you know, our mission statement promises that we will empower all students to achieve their potential and their dreams. And in Richland 1, when we say all, we truly mean all. Tonight, you will hear from our Director of Special Services, LaJamia Dixon, as well as teachers, parents, and students. They are all eager to share how Richland 1 supports our students with autism, as well as all of our other students with disabilities. They are not only the epitome of dedication, passion, and perseverance, but they also represent the results of our efforts when we are at our very best. Ms. Dixon? Greetings, Madam Chair, Board Commissioners, and Dr. Witherspoon. I'm honored to be here today to speak with you about the extraordinary learning experiences and services that we provide to our students with disabilities in Richland 1. In alignment with our district, the Office of Special Services seek to offer students with disabilities educational opportunities that prepare them for the world of vocation, career, and post-secondary opportunities. These opportunities are provided through access to the general education environment, through opportunities for involvement and to participate, through interventions and opportunities for them to grow towards their greatest potential. Our primary goal in special services is to remove barriers in order for our students to be successful and to achieve at their highest potential. I have 2 images that will clearly illustrate our ultimate goal. When you look at the first image,
what you see is opportunity for our students to have benefits from the supports. The next image that you're looking at is an image of individuals who have an opportunity to receive some support. But our ultimate goal, our best practices, is for the last image, where you see that all of our students have an opportunity to equal access and to remove those barriers that impede opportunities for them. Okay, well, so I wanted to share with you one of our huge success stories, and there's so many in the room today. Mr. Thomas. Mr. Thomas is a full circle moment in what we do at Special Services. And I want you all, you probably see Mr. Thomas if you've ever been over to Waverly in teaching and learning. Mr. Thomas attended J.P. Thomas Elementary School. Then he went on to Alcorn Middle School. He then proceeded and went to Kenan High School. Any Kenan graduates in here? Kenan High School. From Kenan High School, we give our students opportunities with disabilities beyond the graduation at 18. So he went on to Hayward Career Center, and then we were able to facilitate a relationship with vocational rehab. So Mr. Thomas is an employee in Richland 1. He's a success story. He is, and you all can clap because we all know him. And he wanted me to let you all know he has to work tonight, so he couldn't be here. So that lets you know the dedication that we have. We also have students who have graduated at the top of their class that are students with disabilities. We have students who are in post-secondary opportunities in college. We also have students who are working in Central Kitchen. So I want everyone here to know that what we're doing is very important, and it yields excellent outcomes for our students, their families, and our community. Next, you will have the opportunity to view a video. Immediately following the video, you will be greeted by our students, our parents, our teachers, our service providers, to share with you how we collaborate through inclusive practices, what Special Services is a service and not place.
Special Services is extraordinary
because we are a service, not a place,
nor a final destination.
A BCBA is a board-certified behavior analyst. We became board-certified analysts through a program that Richland 1 offered through Clemson University. We spent 2 years being trained by the director of Clemson University's behavior program. We are highly trained and qualified to work with a continuum of students from general education, inclusion, to self-contained special education students.
ABA is the only evidence-based approach that has proven to be effective in changing our students with autism life, help them become more independent, and have them become successful members in our community.
As a team, we help students break down barriers so that they can access the general curriculum and their classroom instruction. We break down these barriers using technology. So as a team, we evaluate students, we obtain and acquire a variety of AT solutions. We also provide necessary modifications and customizations to classroom materials and instruction. We also coordinate therapies and interventions, as well as services with assistive technology. Last but not least, we maintain and we replace assistive technology devices as needed.
I'm Allison McCarley, therapeutic assistant again. I actually started out as the parent of a child who was being served by Special Services. And the attention and support that he received and we received was overwhelming and extraordinary and a true blessing. And I just thought I would like to be a part of it. And being a part of it and working with other therapeutic assistants, the autism itinerant teachers, again, is just rewarding, and it has continued to be a blessing as a parent, as an employee as well.
You know, I'm so grateful to be a part of Special Olympics South Carolina for the last 22 years, and the Unified Champion Schools Education Initiative has created just incredible partnerships across the state, and our partnership with Richland 1 School District has been phenomenal. We really want to infuse social inclusion in the fabrics of all of the schools across Richland 1, and to see that transforming over the last 2.5 years has been incredible. We're starting to see students of all abilities come forward and really advocate for each other. They're making friends in ways that they didn't before. They're using sports and social activities to really create a culture at their schools that is very inclusive and kind and more empathetic.
My name is Melissa Bates, and I'm a job coach with South Carolina Vocational Rehabilitation. And I get to work with these students every day here at Embassy Suites. And I can't believe that this is my job, that I get to see them come in at the beginning of the year and see them maybe a little bit nervous because the hotel's big and there's lots of different places. And by the end of the year, you know, you see Marcus able to give you a whole tour and talk about everything that he can do, knows that everybody who works here. It's pretty incredible just seeing just the growth, how they change throughout the year, and seeing some of the students who have been in Project Search previously go through the program, stay at the hotel, and then go on to teach and train other employees and other Project Search interns.
Richland 1 has extraordinary services with extraordinary teachers with extraordinary programming for extraordinary students.
We are unified and extraordinary.
Person that was up here. Good evening, Dr. Witherspoon, Madam Chairperson, and all other commissioners. I'm Taryn Rowe, and before I share a little bit about my story, I wanted to share a brief blurb from a parent of a student that I began serving in a very restrictive setting when she was in first grade, who is now a fifth grader who is fully included with her peers in an inclusive model. As a parent, when you hear that your child needs special education, one of the strongest emotions you feel is a profound sense of being alone. You are in a bubble of paperwork, appointments, and assessments, a world of what ifs and they can't, and your greatest fear is that the same aloneness will be transferred to your child. Blessedly, we soon learned that we were anything but alone. From the first IEP meeting to the last progress report and every class dojo message in between, our daughter's growth has been a team effort. Every step forward has been with all of us, supporting and urging and cheering her on. And the team is not only the amazing staff and faculty, but her fellow students as well. Our daughter went from being prompted to say hello to having a BFF. Her progress is a bridge between special education and special education because it's all special to her and to us. Being a part of the school community and not set apart from it has been an immense help in her and our progress. Not only is our daughter eagerly looking forward to her middle school years, so are we. We thank the team at Satchel Ford Elementary for their invaluable support. So I started in the district 11 years ago, teaching in a multi-category self-contained classroom. As a special education teacher, my role has changed as we adapt to meet all of our students' needs. I have some students that receive all of their reading and writing instruction in the special education classroom, some students that receive 30 minutes of remedial support, some students that receive inclusive services with co-teaching, and some students that we're just a safe place for. As a member of my school's Behavior MTSS team, I get to see the students throughout the entire school community and help teachers meet the needs of their students through interventions. I am excited to be transitioning into a new role for Richland One this summer as a board-certified behavior analyst alongside Laura Crisson to support our extraordinary students using applied behavior analysis.
Good evening. My name is Laura Crisson, and I am a behavior analyst serving Richland One students. I'm grateful for the opportunity to speak with you tonight. I would like to give you a little history about myself and about autism services in Richland One. I'm originally from Romania, and I came to South Carolina and to Richland One at Low Richland High School back in 2000 as an exchange special education teacher. In 2008, I became an autism itinerant teacher in Richland One. Over the past 15 years, I have fallen in love with the beautiful mind of the students I serve, and I can't imagine doing anything else. Since 1990, Richland One has provided an autism service model that was different from the surrounding districts. Our autism team consists of autism itinerant teachers and autism therapeutic assistants. Our autism itinerant teachers provide direct services targeting social, emotional, and behavior needs of our students, as well as provide training and support for the teacher and for the staff across the district. Our autism therapeutic assistant help our students to transfer and generalize the social, emotional, and behavior skill across school settings. Currently, Richland One has 448 identified students with autism. The number of students with autism has steadily increased, which was also impacted by the COVID pandemic. Our autism team has recognized an increased need for evidence-based intervention and support for all our students with autism. Research has identified applied behavior analysis, commonly known as ABA, as the most effective practice to help our students reach their fullest potential. Special Services has made an effort to adapt and to meet the need by initiating the process of training teachers and classified staff in ABA. Our autism team will continue to provide extraordinary services to our extraordinary students. Thank you for celebrating Autism Awareness Month.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Celeste Simmons Morgan, and I'm Caleb Simmons' mother. And I'm here to talk about Caleb's journey as a student with autism spectrum disorder. Some of the things that were said earlier really resonated with me because I'm a lifelong educator. And when I had a child who I couldn't teach how to read and I couldn't teach how to count and certain other things, it was very difficult for me. But I have to go all the way back to Hard Hill Elementary School and remember Miss Parthenia Satterwhite, who when my child would run out of class and go to the office because he felt safe there and press her button because he had something he wanted to say on the announcements, she would just, redirect him and call me and let me know what happened, and then he would be put back in Miss Silver's class. Caleb was very slow to speak when he was a child. There was another student in his class named Kevin, and Kevin came from Guatemala. He was ESOL, and Caleb was autistic. They couldn't talk, so they played with each other. And by the end of that year, Caleb was on the front row of the choir singing World's Greatest, and Kevin said his Pledge of Allegiance. That is just a testament to what our students, our principals, and all of the people that support in the schools can do with a child in a year. I can talk about a lot of people and I can call a lot of names, but we left the district for a while, but we came back when Caleb was in middle school, and Ms. Croissant became his ABA therapist. It's very hard for students with autism to be able to interact and to make friends. And I was, of course, very worried about Caleb. But she always reassured me that, Caleb is doing fine. Caleb has friends. Caleb is able to get in and able to do the things that he needed to do. But I think I heard her, but I didn't really take it in until one day we were in Family Dollar. And while we were shopping in Family Dollar, a couple students came into Family Dollar. Hey, man, what's up? What's up, man? High-fiving everybody. He's just the life of the crowd. And I'm looking like, I know this is not the same child. But, they have to work. I mean, if you see the things that Ms. Croissant did, she had placemats with social cues. And if my face looks like this is how you respond. And if your face looks like this, this is a typical response. It means things that we think come natural do not come natural for students with autism. And people who go through this therapy, they have this ability to be able to work with these students and able to show them how to respond appropriately in situations. There are a few more names I would like to call. Even when Caleb was being diagnosed and me not understanding everything that autism was about, some suggested that he be put into a special needs class where he would not be able to go out and interact with other students. I remember Mr. Roach telling me, no, we're going to mainstream him. We're going to mainstream him, we're going to give him high support, and he'll be just fine. And when you're a parent and you have a child that has issues, somebody just having your back and being an advocate sitting at the table and not making you feel like you are so alone is so important. I'll go on to say, that I too am a graduate of the illustrious Lower Richland High School. And I want, of course, being from the community is very important to me. It was very important to me that my students also go to Lower Richland, but I'm gonna tell you what happened. I happened to be working at Sanders because when we came back to the district, Sanders was the first place they called me, and they hired me back the next day. So we went back to Sanders, and my oldest son was in the magnet program, and Caleb came along with us. And so my oldest son went to Keenan in the magnet program, and they didn't want to be separated, so I sent Caleb the next year. It was always my plan to get Caleb back down to Lower Richland so my boys could graduate from Lower Richland. But let me tell you why I can't do that. Because when Caleb was in 9th grade, Caleb said he wanted to play football. But when Caleb went out for football practice, I found out that Caleb was not playing football. Caleb was outside with the football team, but he was the assistant to the assistant coach. Caleb is helping everybody with making sure they had their uniforms, making sure they had everything right. During tutoring, he would get on the microphone and say, all right, we got 5 minutes before it's time to go to practice. And you had Coach Gilling, you had Coach McLeod that would, if they went to 7-on-7, if they went to a away game, Caleb was in the front of the bus, sitting by them. They took time. They didn't have to take. to mentor my child. So I thought that, this was Caleb's thing. Now he's going to be, the football assistant to the assistant coach. At the end of the year, Caleb said, well, my interests have changed. I think I'm going to go in the theater program. All right, well, okay, now I got a chance. I'm going to pull him out of Keenan. I'm going to be able to get him back down to LR. He don't want to do football no more. Then Miss Singleton found Caleb and put him a part of the theater program. All right, he was in the school play last year. Made an A in theater. Became a thespian with the Keenan Theater Society. So, because every time we have an IEP meeting, whether it's Mr. Montgomery, he's not there this year, but last year, he would come and tell me, how Caleb comes in with a smile on his face, always happy to be there. He's one of the kids that, when we have challenges, you can look at a kid like Caleb and they make it worthwhile to keep going and keep doing the things that we do. I appreciate also, I want to say, shout out to Mr. Whaley, because sometimes everybody doesn't understand how, students with these things are. But when you have a principal that you can send an email, and before you finish pressing send, he replying with an answer to be able to help you. That all those things make a huge difference when you are when you have a student that has the challenges that Caleb has. Caleb is going to tell you about some of his accomplishments. The last thing that I'm going to say is I want you to understand how far Caleb has come. They told me Caleb would never be able to read. They told me Caleb would never be able to write. They told me that it was going to be, he might not ever be on par with his classmates. But Caleb can read, and Caleb can write, and Caleb has goals for his future. And the people I run into that work with him, they do everything they can to support him and make sure that he's going to be able to accomplish the things that he wants to accomplish. We talked about saving money with the lights and stuff, and I appreciate that because we need that money. We need that money for students like Caleb because they need a little bit more. All right, and because he's disabled, and he's not disabled, he's just differently able. And so Caleb's going to tell you about some of his accomplishments he's made over the last couple of years being a proud Keenan Raider.
Hey, my name's Caleb. I'm a student at Keenan currently right now. I will tell y'all about my goals. I plan to be in the barbering program at Hayward, and I made a be on the road twice at Keenan. And I'm a former student of the month at Keenan also. And I plan to go to college when I graduate.
So board members, also our staff that works to support the board, we want to thank you for all your contributions because the decisions you make in these offices have day-to-day, real-life impacts on these students. One of the things with going to Hayward, it was that because he's double resourced, they felt like it may be difficult for him because he's going to need a few extra classes. So I would say, well, maybe I just have to keep him in an extra semester. And they was like, no, we have alternatives. Caleb is after school anyway because, Miss Young is weighing him out with geometry. So he's there 3 days a week, but he's not there by himself because she's there to help him, to make sure he's going to pass. So they said, since Caleb don't mind staying after school because he does, and he gets up 5:30 every morning to make sure everybody else is up because he does not want to be late for school. Because he doesn't mind being here, we'll figure out a way to make sure he gets those extra classes in so he can graduate on time and get his barbering. That's what we do as educators in Richland 1, and I, for one, as a parent, appreciate it.
Good morning, not morning, good afternoon. My name is Nielle Hawkins, and this is my son, Honest Blake. I'm going to try not to cry. Miss Morgan did a good job of holding it back. I don't know how good I will do. Phew. Okay. Whew. So this is my son, Honest. I want to say, firstly, thank you for having us to speak. Secondly, thank you, Ms. Croissant. Ms. Croissant's name is probably going to come up so much because she is, or she was for us, the foundation of a change that we had to make. So Honest was born in New York. He was diagnosed, just a brief history, he was diagnosed at 13 months with autism. He initially was doing some babbling, and then after about 13 months, he stopped his babble, he stopped eye contact, he stopped responding to his name. So I kind of knew something wasn't right. So we were living in New York, we had him tested, that took about 8 weeks. Once we had that done and had the diagnosis, we went straight into receiving ABA services. This is a child who was nonverbal, didn't say anything. The point where I kind of said something might be wrong, excuse me again. We were in the living room. He's so sweet. We were sitting in the living room. We were watching a baby. This is my other son all the way in the back. The three of us, their father and I, were watching a movie. And Honest was they shared, it was New York, so you know, space is a commodity. They shared a bedroom. Honest was in the bedroom, and he was just walking around. He wasn't saying anything. He wasn't asking for anything. I didn't tell their father, but I said to myself, I'm going to wait and see how long it takes him to come out, to ask for something, to interact. He was in that room for 2.5 hours, and I went back and I checked on him. He wasn't upset. He wasn't needing anything, but he wasn't seeking us out. He was walking around. He would touch things. He would look. He never came, you know, a normal or typical, I hate to use the word normal, a typical 1-year-old will come and see what mommy and daddy is doing or ask you for a drink or something. None of that. And it was at that point that I knew something was going on that we had to investigate. So he started out nonverbal, ABA therapy, ABA therapy, ABA therapy. I cannot emphasize how important that is. Even at his age, at 14, he still needs ABA therapy. They would sit with him. He would work for 6 seconds, and then he would get a 1-minute break. 6 seconds and 1 minute. Do you know how much patience you have to sit with, at that time, I think he was 16 months, to sit with a 16-month-old, give them a 6-second activity and a 1-minute break. The people who do ABA and these services are special people who have as a mother, I couldn't sit and go, okay, 6 minutes, okay, come on, you get a 1-minute break. 6 seconds, okay, you get a 1-minute break. So at the end of that, he went to a special daycare in New York, which had ABA. He went to a special kindergarten in New York that had ABA, and then we moved back home to South Carolina. So I was very nervous, very anxious. I did not know what to expect or what I was going to run into or what services would he have. The progress we had made, would he continue to progress? And we came in, we met with special education. We were zoned for Meadowfield, thank God, because Miss Croissant was there. This woman is so reassuring. If something didn't work, it was not a big deal. She let everybody know it's not a big deal. We're just gonna do this. We're gonna change. We're gonna do this. Well, this isn't working. Well, let's try this. Well, Mom, what does he like? We'll try a little goodie bag. We tried that. That didn't work. Well, that's not a problem because now we're gonna try this. So we're gonna try that. Never once did Miss Croissant turn me away and say I'm not capable or willing. She also didn't accept if teachers or staff were at the point where they were saying, you know what, I'm frustrated or I'm not willing. That was not even a choice. That wasn't an option because there was always something that we could do differently. So he was successful at Meadowfield. He graduated. He went to Hand. He was successful at Hand. This is an AB student. He is so bright.
He plays the trumpet. He loves band. He participated in marching band. It was an interesting experience because his coordination is not that of you or I, but he did it anyway, and he enjoyed it. He enjoyed it. He has a beautiful voice. He loves to sing, so he's in chorus. He made honors chorus. And I could never imagine that my child, who was nonverbal, you know, as a mom, when you see your 2-year-old not talking, but you see somebody else's 2-year-old talking, that hits a place in your heart that is difficult it's difficult to express, but that hits a place in your heart, and you wonder what will be for my child. Will he be capable of, will he be capable of dressing himself? Will he be capable of sitting in a classroom? Will he be capable of learning? This boy, I'm telling you, articulate, witty, funny. He's too funny sometimes. I remember I did, before, because he wasn't speaking, I did a little fundraiser for the Autism Society when we still lived in New York, and our little bracelet said, "Honest is speaking," because finally he had started to talk. And now I'm at the point where I'm like, ugh. I'm grateful, but Lord, sometimes, tone it back, son, tone it back. But he is a delight. Teachers enjoy him. He can be a little bit rambunctious sometimes. But teachers seem to he's really funny, and teachers really seem to enjoy him. We certainly enjoy him, but I just can't emphasize. I know that there's a lot of conversation around the services being improved and adding more. ABA, it works. I just can't say enough. This boy could not speak, would not give us eye contact, would not ask for something, would not say, "Mommy, I need," or "Daddy, I need." It was real. It's real when you have a child like this on the spectrum, and as a parent, you need reassurance. You need to know that there is something out there that can assist your child. Our goal for Honest is certainly high school graduation, and looking into going to college, because I desire for him to have as typical a life as possible. I want him to enjoy being able to go to his own apartment. I want him to enjoy being able to go to work and say, "This is what I've accomplished." And he certainly is on that track. Do you want to say something, son? You want to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Honest Blake, and I'm 15 years old. And I was wanting to say that sometimes there are things that can do the impossible for you if you try hard enough. And I'm actually glad this journey, or should I say journey? Yeah, I should say journey. I'm glad that this journey happened. And I'm glad that you're happy.
I'm definitely happy. He's very sweet. I'm definitely happy. He's a sweet boy. Thank you again for hearing all of our voices, because everybody's story is a little bit different. But at the bottom line, behind everything that y'all do, there are parents whose lives you're affecting, their children whose lives that you are benefiting. Right? A child who couldn't speak, who now is articulate, who has goals. There's a plan for his life, something sustainable. So I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful to be within the district. I am immensely grateful for Ms. Croissant. I cannot say that enough about this woman. I can't. And those who work under her, who understand that it's important to her, know what they're working with, and they have to up their game, because listen, they're going to have to answer to her. If they haven't provided the caliber of services that she knows your student requires, they'll answer to her. So thank you again for hearing us. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jaden Watts, And that over there is my Aunt Mimi. I want to thank you for having me here. I'm here to talk about how important Special Olympics are to me this year at AC4. This year, we went to the fall games in Myrtle Beach and competed in disc golf. I took second place. Woo! We also competed in the Area 7 basketball tournament and took first place. We have done other events this year, like track and field, basketball skills, and we have field day coming up on Friday. I also was invited and went to Detroit, Michigan, to attend the National Leadership Summit. I am currently working on a grant for $1,500 to help our program at AC4. This program has helped me make new friends and learn sports and activities along the way. I would like to thank Richland 1 for supporting our Special Olympics. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Timothy Hickson, and I am a proud graduate of Keenan High School. I'm a project search later on, officially my internship at Embassy Suites Hotel. I had started working at the hotel. I am a supervisor at MC Suites, and I'm a leader, and I'm no intern. Richland 1 school helped me to be a leader of the speaker for myself and to take care of myself. I am thankful for the teachers and all who they teach me to, like I said, man, woo! It's just not but God, man. It's just not but the Lord, He bring me a long way, and I've been in project search, man, I've been there like 4 years now, 3 years, man. I got me a car. I'm riding. It's just a blessing. It's just a blessing. It's just a blessing. Like, I stay focused. I locked in. Do what I had to do. I didn't say what doing, but I just block everybody out. I just keep pushing. I just keep pushing. It's just like, I just got I got so many goals to do. Like, I want to go to college, but now I want me another job. Like, I just want to keep building. Like, it's just so much to me. I've been to Keenan. I had graduated from 18 then I was at Richland Moore Hospital, but they were training us like they were training us like I was in the basement at Prisma Health. We do like supplies and stuff. I used to put up the gloves, and then I went to Hayward. Before I went to Hayward, then I somehow it jumped back to with the project search, and they put me in there. Then I went to Vote We Have. I was in Hayward. I was and I was in trying to fix her cars, and it's just so much. It was so much. Man, God had brought me a long way. I saved up my money. It was crazy. Like through my birthday, I had my ID, and then turned back around, I had my permit at the time. Then I went back, changed that to a license. So I'm doing things I am. So God bless me. So I just want to say thank y'all.
Good evening. I am so inspired right now as a young mother. To all the members of the school board, school district, and all of the community, my name is Whitney Earl, the mother of Zachariah Thompson. Oh, where you go? Come on. You want to hold that? Just hold it. Okay. It is an honor and joy to be here tonight. I would like to thank the staff at Burnside Elementary and Richland School District 1 for all the time and resources you have put into helping my child succeed. I was told when he was 4 years old, he will never ever talk. I am so happy and pleased with my son's educational and developmental progress. Zachariah went from not speaking at all in kindergarten to being an actual reader in 4th grade, speaking using sentences. He has always been a happy child. He used to be so shy and isolated to being very social and confident. I cannot thank you all enough for your hard work. Could all the support for him please stand up right now? Because I am so filled. Family, co-workers, it does take a village to raise a child. And I'm telling you, the community with my son Zachariah has been there from the get-go. And I am so grateful. I can't tell you all enough how far he's come. And he's going to speak. You ready, son? You gotta be loud.
Hello. My name is Zachariah. I am in the 4th grade at Burnside Elementary School. My favorite things at school are math and basketball. I like to play with my friends. Madam Chair, this ends our presentation. We will be happy to answer your questions at this time.
Thank you so much, Dr. Witherspoon. And as Zachariah said, he closed for us today. I'm kind of afraid he might take my job, but good job, Zachariah. So thank you. And I think if you don't mind me saying, Dr. Witherspoon, Madam Chair, you guys see so many contracts and things that come across your desk that you approve. And I'm thinking about ABA coming across, and you give us everything we need to be successful. And so you being able to see the fruition and what comes out of some of those contracts is just really inspiring tonight. And so we're happy that you've allowed us to share this with you. So we'll answer any questions you have at this time.
Forgot I had to get on this mic. My heart is full. I believe my colleagues' hearts are full as well. For those of you that don't know, I had a special ed child. So I feel the passion of the parents. I know how it felt to go in for an IEP meeting. But I am thankful to the district that sometimes people don't celebrate us. I know what this district did. And that child of mine that couldn't talk, as I heard the parents say today, I'm thankful to Miss Edwards over at Hopkins Elementary. My daughter now is 24 years old, graduate of this district, was in the top 10%, went to college, graduated with a cosmetology license from this district, owns her own salon, a manager for a company. But the child that couldn't speak went on to win an international oratorical, which is a speech competition, and won first place. So to the parents, to this hard-working, amazing staff in this district, to the parents that believe in this district, this board salutes all of you. You do not hear thank you enough, Richland One staff. You do not hear thank you enough, Richland One parents. But we thank you for investing your children in what we do here every day. And tonight was a reminder for us. We laid a 6-year-old to rest today. Those were tears of sorrow. But tonight, these are tears of joy of what happens in Richland One every single day. I am in awe of you. You all are heroes to us because you have passion and you care, and it makes a difference. And I'm gonna be quiet before I start crying again. But when you leave a job and you run for a seat that don't pay you any money, and you're ostracized, criticized, and every other kind of size it is, when you sit in settings like this and you hear your parents tell you what the fruit of the labor looks like, you hear it from the end user, you hear it from Caleb and Honest and Jaden and Timothy and Zachariah telling us it's working. That's the greatest pat on the back ever. And I thank you. I celebrate you. I celebrate this. LaJamie, your team is amazing. Your team is amazing. And you all need to stand and be recognized. And if all of the staff, if you're here, before I open up the floor, come up to the front so all of you can be recognized. I know we're putting you on the spot, but you are amazing to this team, and we thank you. We want you all to come up front. Y'all keep clapping. We're going to ask the board if they will stand behind our team for a quick photo, and then we're going to get a picture with our young people and their parents. Yeah. So y'all stay quick. Everybody up?
I don't know, can she get in? She might have to take two. I don't know if you got a wide enough lens on that. She got a camera.
Go in the middle.
Or go down in the front, make a couple of rows in the front.
Nothing. She must have. You stand that way. Okay. Woo.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes, you go.
Yes or no? Yeah.
Yes, sure.
Thank you so very much. We're going to ask for all of our young people, Caleb and Honest, Jaden, Timothy, and Zachariah, come on up front. And we want parents, moms, dads, if you're here. Richland One family.
Thank you.
Everybody in there?
Oh, everything is there.
Chris, looking at you.
Awesome. At this time, if there are any board members that would like to ask any questions or make any remarks or comments, the floor is open at this time. Commissioner Winston?
I am so proud of you, all of you. You young people give us hope for the future because that's what you are, our future. Thank you for taking the time and coming up and speaking to us because it made all the difference in the world. Thank you for the teachers who love them enough to try their best every 6 seconds. It's waiting a minute because we all need just time to grow and to do things. Parents, we love you. We feel for you. We thank you for sending us the best you have as we make the world a different place for typical children.
That's right. Okay. Thank you so much. Any other remarks or comments? Commissioner Bishop?
You know, thank you, Madam Chair. There are moments when we sit at this desk and we get reminded of the greatness in serving. Thank you for reminding us why we sit here. It's not by title, but it's by the truth of what we see in serving our community. And when I opened up with the invocation tonight, the poem was called "We the Willing." Did not know that you all were going to bring something to justify what was stated. It takes all of us because it takes a village to raise a what?
Child.
And I think someone said you were well aware that you were not alone because we are the willing. And someone, I think, stated, several parents stated, that people told you couldn't or this wouldn't happen. But to break the moment and talk to the hip-hop generation,
Come on.
DJ Khaled said it like this: God did. And so thank you for letting us know, man, that it's God.
That's right.
I'm not afraid to say it.
That's right.
I'm not afraid to say it. But we are the willing. We are the willing. Let's continuously believe it takes all of us. No one can do this by themselves, but we can do it all together. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much. Commissioner Devine?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a few questions. What are some of the challenges that you see as we move forward with not just autism, but also with special services moving forward?
So right now, one of the major challenges that will not be a surprise to you all is staffing. The need for highly qualified professionals to be able to provide these services and supports and interventions to our students. That's one of our major challenges. And just being able to give kudos to our commissioners, what you all do on a daily basis. I know you look at the documents and and all of that, but you have really made a difference for special services. To Dr. Brazard and Dr. Hagwood and Ms. Jennings, thank you for what you do. The executive cabinet, they are always doing what's best for our department, and we truly appreciate that. But right now, staffing is the major issue.
All right.
And Dr. Witherspoon, you cannot be forgotten.
So my next question, and this, you all may not be able to answer this, but this goes maybe to Mr. Carlin. As we look at special education and special services, it takes us back to IDEA. How much funding do we receive from the federal government roughly for Richland 1?
It ranges between probably 35% to 40%, but we're lucky if we get to 40%.
So this is a national mandate from the federal government. It's never been fully funded. I don't think since 1975 when this act came about. And we get about 40%. So if we had all that we need, we could probably hire some additional staff and get some folk trained and ready to help our young people. And one last thing, what age range of students, of persons do we serve in special services?
They want to say it for me. Birth to 21. We serve them all. We serve them all. And as we move forward with best practices for our students, and
You good. Take your time. Take your time. Take your time. You're good.
providing them with the best opportunities for them to be successful.
Amen.
We are pleased that we're in a district who's inclusive, who believes in including students and also including staff. You know, it makes a major difference when you see our autism itinerant teachers. Will y'all please stand? And Commissioner Bishop, when you mentioned doing a lot with a little,
Yes.
this group does a lot with a little. And they never complain. So as we move forward with closing the achievement gap for students with disabilities, it's important that we all take this heavy lift together.
That's right.
And make it happen for our students. So I want to tell y'all thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
So, knowing what we saw tonight, how do we, and you use the word inclusive, and I love that word, how do we continue to keep our children in mainstream classrooms? How are you all able to do that on a daily basis? What are some of the techniques and different things that you all use each and every day?
So what we have embarked upon, and that's through the leadership with teaching and learning, is ensuring that our teachers are well equipped to understand what it means to be inclusive. What is a co-teaching environment? We are breaking down barriers, truly we are. One thing that we did, we moved away from special services being a place. And it's about a service. And we don't want that to be a place where kids end up and stay. So we have been training our teachers, not only our general education teachers, our special education and all service providers, that it's about a service. And we go to students, they don't come to us.
All right. Very good. One last thing, Madam Chair, now shut up.
You're fine.
Richland 1, a leader in transforming lives. That's what we do.
Yes.
Thank you for what you do. Thank you.
And I have just a few follow-up questions. I'm very appreciative of the partnership that we have with Clemson University. Clemson does a lot with us. How many certified BCBA individuals are we producing a year, or how is that flowing for us? And I know staffing is hard to find because I asked Dr. Witherspoon about IAs and how they can help, but of course, just like teachers are absent, so are IAs.
Yes, yep.
So we was in partnership. put one cohort through with Clemson for the BCBAs. And we currently have 5 who have successfully completed their coursework. The district has 2 positions that we just recently filled. Well, ladies, would y'all stand up again? Well, all the BCBAs that went through Clemson, would you please stand? I have to also acknowledge Ms. Reddingberg. She is one of our BCBAs as well. She saw the need for having that skill set at Fairwall. And we also have a school psychologist, Mr. Walter Carl, who also saw the need to go and become a trained BCBA. So right now with Clemson, we are training all of our paraprofessionals through behavior skills. We would love the funding to be able to do this again.
Awesome. Thank
Yes.
you. Any additional questions or comments from any board member? Commissioner Clyburn?
Yes. I knew I would shed a tear when I heard what the topic was going to be, but I didn't know I was going to shed rivers. But I just want to, express my admiration of, what you all are doing as educators, what you all are doing as parents, and what you are doing as students and the surrounding community, because you could have given up. The parent who gave her testimony and said that she was afraid when she had to, move from New York. I want to thank you for trusting like he said, trusting God and just trusting that your child was capable and you knew he would be okay with us. Because it can't be easy, but you're doing what you're doing. Your child is thriving. Your children are thriving. And I guess I just had a question as well. I heard some comments during the testimonies where the parents were saying that their children, I guess it came from the medical community, were saying that your child would never speak. Your child would never, do certain things that, other children do. What are some of the things that you can recommend or suggest that would better? I think things are changing today. I hope things are changing today because maybe this was 7, 8, 10 years ago, where some of these things were said and more is learned today. But what are some things that can remove barriers? Because I just want to say this, the stress that a parent goes through in that moment when you have a medical doctor or a professional telling you what your child is not going to do or what they don't think they're going to be able to do, I think it's unbearable to hear that. So how can we better communicate with the community, the medical community, to give hope and let parents know these are the steps that you need to take to increase your child's chances at success?
So for us, as you look at what we can do to help support our parents better, I too had that conversation with the team. So it's a part of my intentional and my why as well. One thing that we do in our community, we train and we talk about the why. The special services consultants that are here tonight, would you all step forward? The ones that are here, stand. They are the first line of defense for our parents. So when that initial conversation happens, we don't have a lot of impact over the medical community, and we're working towards those partnerships. But what we can do, what we have power over and influence over is, and when a parent is sitting across the table from us, we have compassion. And we explain the process to them and what can happen. It's the ability, not the inability. So that's what we focus on, what our children can do. We meet them where they are, and we grow them to their greatest potential. So I often tell parents when they first start out and you heard this from the parents, it's almost like a death, because the child you thought you had is not that child? And how will society embrace your child? So it's the conversations, explaining to them the steps, taking them along the way through every transition. Because elementary will be different from middle school. Middle school will be different from secondary. And one thing that this Board of Commissioners has the foresight to do, early intervention. So what we're doing with Ms. Wiley is very important. We don't work in silos in Richland 1. We collaborate in teaching and learning, and we make things happen for our students.
Thank you. Awesome. Any additional questions or comments at this time? Seeing none, thank you for your presentation on tonight. And to our young folk, we know you got to go to school in the morning.
That's right.
So we're going to pause real quickly. So if mom and dad needs to leave, staff got to go to work. No. So we're gonna allow you guys to leave. And again, thank you for being here tonight to share your stories.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's right. Right.
Started earlier than all along.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And then mine caliber. Oh, okay.
No, thank you.
You passed your EOC? Oh, wow. Okay. Oh, wow. Congratulations, Caleb. I'm proud of you. Proud of you. Keep doing what you're doing, okay? All right. Have a good night.
Caleb, I want to tell you on behalf of the Keena Alumni Association.
He's a diamond
we're
raider.
Proud that you are a raider.
A raider diamond.
It may be hard to crack a diamond, but it's hard to be a raider.
Caleb, you will always be a diamond.
I also know Coach Gilly.
I know you said they kept trying.
Caleb,
we want family.
I also know Coach Gilly as well. I tell him I saw you tonight.
Bye-bye, y'all take care.
We're going to continue with our meeting. So we are still live at this time. To our listening audience, thank you so very much out there. We'll now move on to the Office of Operation. To you, Dr. Witherspoon. Let me just say this. Thank you for bringing this presentation before the board so we can see. So when it's time to look at different things, we see and we know what's happening in our schools. So thank you so much for your leadership. We'll now move on to the Office of Operations with 8-1, which is a contract for the new cooling tower at Columbia High. Ms. Outing.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. Witherspoon, tonight I present to you the contract for new cooling tower for Columbia High School. The administration is requesting approval to award a contract to Superior Maintenance and Piping Incorporated of Aiken, South Carolina to provide the new cooling tower at Columbia High School. The administration so recommends.
You heard the recommendation of the administration. What's the pleasure of the board?
Move for approval.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Bishop, second by Commissioner Devine. We'll now open the floor for question or discussion. Commissioner Devine.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Dr. Witherspoon, the funding source for this was capital projects. I think I may have asked this during committee. Why are we not using this under the opera funding?
We have certainly that ability, but we do have those funds and budgeted for other allowable expenses.
Very good. Thank you.
Okay. Any additional questions? Okay, we'll call for the vote.
Oh, question.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Myers.
Just a quick question. When is this process going to be started? I don't.
It's anticipated to start with supply and demand for parts and so forth in October.
Of this year?
Yes,
About
ma'am.
how long would the process take?
Not certain, Mr. Perkins or Raymond, would you know the duration? 6 6 months.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay, any additional questions? Okay, we'll call for the vote at this time. Let the record reflect the vote is unanimous. The contract for the new cooling tower at Columbia High School has been approved. Thank you so much, Ms. Outing. We'll now move to 8.2, which is the approval of the proposed capital projects bonds presented by Mr. Carlin.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. Witherspoon, the administration is requesting to allocate the bond proceeds to proposed capital projects. The attached list that you have are the proposed capital projects totaling $22,894,689. The administration recommends approval for these capital projects.
You've heard the recommendation of the administration. What's the pleasure of the board?
Move for approval.
Second.
It was moved by Commissioner Devine, second by Commissioner Myers. We'll now open the floor for question or discussion. Commissioner Lominack.
Thank you, Chairwoman Harris. Mr. Carlin, can you help me understand how you differentiate between items that are going to be funded through a bond versus the operating budget? Or if there is if you do differentiate between those two things?
I'm not following the question, except for the Snyder projects that we did. We thought it would be easier and better to do that than to increase our bond limit so that we couldn't do the bonds that we did this time. And you have the available bonds for the future in case you need something.
And are bonds limited to capital projects only, or can it go beyond that?
No,
Okay.
You can't use it for operations.
Okay. So, and like when we're looking at things like laptops and the grease trap maintenance and things like that, how do we determine that those things, which are going to be pretty annual expenses, I mean, there are a lot of annual expenses, right? So how do we determine that those are annual expenses we're going to roll into this bond rather than in our operating budget?
There are a lot of maintenance items that we do include. In fact, most of Mr. Henry's projects are maintenance type items that are recurring all the time. You just don't know when they're going to happen or where they're going to happen. I'm trying to figure out how to answer the question, but we give an operating budget to building services, and they can only handle so much. I mean, we should increase it. We should increase a lot of the budgets, but the bonds give us availability. And the other thing is these bonds are paid off in 1 year. So it's almost like operating, except for they're considered capital. We note that in the bonds. When we sell them, this is what we're using it for, so the buyers are aware.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Carlin, Chairman Harris.
Any additional questions at this time? Okay. Commissioner Weston?
My question is about the parking lot at Meadowfield.
Yes.
What time frame are you looking at for that?
Mr. Perkins, do you have an idea on the time frame?
So 6 months or longer? Okay, thank you.
And let me ask a question for clarification, because I know the question was asked as well on the chilling tower at Columbia High. With these projects, we can give an estimated 6 months, but supply and demand is a nightmare right now.
Yes.
So, and I'm using an example is the finishing of the Lower Richland Transportation Office. Supply and demand is a major issue. So we can say 6 months. I just want my colleagues to know it may take longer than 6 months. It could take a year. It could take 8 months. We don't know. Because that's one of the issues not only are we running into in this district, we learned this even at our COSPA conference across the country. Everybody is having issues with getting supplies and material in.
Reordered some equipment for the central kitchen.
Right.
And they said 18 months
Right.
minimum.
Right.
Just to get what we need.
Right.
And that may not happen depending on what
Right.
happens between now and then.
Right. So I just wanted to put that in the atmosphere so everyone will know that, even though you all are giving us 6 months and windows,
Right.
it could be much longer than that because it really depends on who our supplier is and how quick they can get that stuff that we need to here to the district. Any additional questions at this time on this particular project? Okay, we'll call for the vote. Ms. Clyburn, we need you to vote, please. Let the record reflect the vote is unanimous. The proposed capital projects for the bonds have been approved. Thank you so much, Mr. Carlin. We'll now move to 8.3, which is the approval to reallocate a portion of our fiscal year 21-22 general fund balance. Mr. Carlin.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. Witherspoon, the administration requests reallocation of fund balance. The fund balance reallocation was discussed during the board work session on April 5th. The administration requesting reallocation from fund balance as indicated on your memo. It includes staff incentives, weapon detectors, department budgets, and capital projects. The administration is requesting approval of the reallocation of portion of fiscal year 21-22 general fund balance in the amount of $8,990,000. The administration so recommends.
You've heard the recommendation of the administration. What's the pleasure of the board?
Move for approval.
Second. It's been moved by Commissioner Devine, second by Commissioner Clyburn. We'll now open the floor for question or discussion. Seeing none, hearing none, we will call for the vote. Let the record reflect that the vote did pass. The vote is 6 yeas. Also, let the record reflect that Commissioner Bishop was not present for the vote. So your motion did pass. Thank you so much, Mr. Carlin. Well, not quite. 8.4, approval to allocate fund balance closed capital projects to proposed capital projects. Okay.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. Witherspoon, the administration requests approval of proposed capital projects from the fund balance and closed projects. The administration is requesting to allocate the fund balance closed capital projects to proposed capital projects on your attached. The attached lists are the proposed capital projects totaling $2,352,791. The administration recommends approval for these capital projects.
You've heard the recommendation of the administration. What's the pleasure of the board?
Move for approval.
Second. It's been moved by Commissioner Myers, second by Commissioner Clyburn. We'll now open the floor for question or discussion. Commissioner Devine.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Carlin, the bus replacement that's proposed in this list of projects, is that electric or is that gas? Or propane?
No, it will either be gas or diesel, but the electric would be a lot more than that.
Okay, all right, very good, thank you. This is not the school bus, this is the activity bus, correct?
Correct. But also, the state ordered or requested
Oh, that's
the
right.
grant for 16 buses for Richland One that are electric.
That's right, and that came from Congressman Clyburn's office, part of the $58 million he
Right.
sent down to the state.
And they're going to request additional buses for next year.
Okay, very good, all right, thank you. And those will be
Electric.
electric?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, any additional questions at this time? Okay, we'll call for the vote. Let the record reflect the vote is unanimous and the approval to allocate fund balance from closed capital projects to proposed capital projects.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Carlin. We'll now move on to the Office of Human Resources with 9-1, which is our contract renewals and non-renewals for the 2023-24 year. Dr. Long.
Good evening, Madam Chair,
Good
Board of
evening.
Commissioners, and Dr. Witherspoon. The administration recommends approval for the contract renewals for the 23-24 school year for all certified, excuse me, contracted administrators, teachers, and instructional support, except those that are listed on the list. The administration so recommends.
You've heard the recommendation of the administration. What's the pleasure of the board?
Move for approval.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Myers, second by Commissioner Clyburn. We'll now open the floor for question or discussion. Seeing none, hearing none, we will call for the vote. Let the record reflect the vote is 6 yeas, and we have one not present for the vote, Commissioner Devine. Therefore, the contract renewals and non-renewals for the 23-24 year have been approved. 9-2 is administrative hire. Dr. Long.
The administration recommends hiring Wilfred Rogers for the position of assistant principal at Olympia Learning Center for the 22-23 school year. The administration so recommends.
You've heard the recommendation of the administration. What's the pleasure of the board?
Move for approval.
Second.
Been moved by Commissioner Myers, second by Commissioner Bishop. We'll open the floor for question or discussion. Commissioner Lomanak.
Thank you, Chairman Harris. And this is the assistant principal who's been there, retired, just returning to his position, right?
Right.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Any additional questions? Seeing none, hearing none, we'll call for the vote. Let the record reflect the vote is unanimous. The administrative hire, as previously mentioned in 9-2, has been approved. 9-3, administrative appointment.
The administration recommends the appointment of Dr. Sean Washington for the position of principal at Columbia High School for the 23-24 academic year. The administration so recommends.
You've heard the recommendation of the administration. What's the pleasure of the board?
Move for approval.
Second.
Been moved by Commissioner Bishop, second by Commissioner Devine. We'll now open the floor for question or discussion. Commissioner Lomanak.
Thank you, Chairman Harris. Dr. Long, we've got a series of 6 acting principals that we're approving, or you're asking us to approve as official principals, right?
Bless you.
Yes.
And I know I won't make a long speech about this each one, but I just wanted to explain my abstention vote. This is a great time to get feedback, to provide a systematic opportunity for the teachers and the staff that we've been bragging about tonight. You know, I worked alongside some of the best special ed teachers in this state at Hand Middle and Dreher High School. And I love that we are bragging about the students and the families and those teachers and staff members that made tonight possible. These same teachers and staff members at the schools are begging for an opportunity like this to provide feedback on the people that are leading their buildings. And it is true, they can file a grievance, if something rises to that level. But what they want is to be able to, the people that are there day to day, to be asked, what are the issues? What are the good things that are happening? What's not going well? What things can be improved? It seems to me that this would be a great time to provide an opportunity for those teachers and staff at these schools to give us that feedback, since they've been working with these acting principals for a full year every day. And they're the only ones that are there every day. We aren't, nobody else is. So I'll continue to abstain and ask that we find a way to let our teachers have a voice in these decisions that we're making them that will affect them as much as anyone else. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Bishop?
Madam Chair, I just want to add to the conversation that teachers, as we do value their feedback, are not just the only ones there, is also the students. They're there every day, just like the teachers. And as a school board, we often do something called Chat with the Chair. We do some of the best truth-telling that you can ever get about a school climate and culture. And as the end users, we can hear directly from them without obstruction, without any restraint, to tell us how their school is performing. So as we're hearing from teachers and students, I hope the HR department and the leadership here with Dr. Witherspoon takes all that in consideration when putting someone into leadership in our schools. So just want to add to the conversation that not only the teachers are there every day, but also the students are there. And then if you add anything else to the conversation, some parents are there as well. So Dr. Witherspoon, and to your staff, I'm hoping that this decision is something that you all have done throughout the year, just not last week, last month. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Bishop. Dr. Witherspoon, is there something you wanted to add?
I would just like to add, as we've shared at the retreat that we've had a number of months ago, we do get feedback and advisement. I don't want anyone to think otherwise. We foster in this district, not just at the end of the year, but we foster in this district a climate and culture that anybody at any time has the ability to give feedback and address issues and concerns, positives, negatives, challenges at any time, and not just at the end of the year. And I'll add the EDs of schools that are in these schools every day, interacting with parents, interacting with teachers, interacting with staff. We all get feedback from teachers all of the time. That is embedded in the process, not just at the end of the year. And that goes with not just in these situations where we have interim appointments moving to a more permanent status, but we do the same with the administrative contracts that come up annually. So there is a systematic means of getting feedback, of addressing issues and concerns, and that goes on a regular basis.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Witherspoon. And let me just ask this question for clarification, because I do realize our EDs are in these buildings, and they interact with these principals, acting principals. We also sometimes assign individuals that work directly with our acting principals, and that's also a part of the consideration. And I just want to say, for a point of clarification, the 6 individuals that you're bringing before us is because you feel that they're ready to take on the helm of carrying the torch at these schools for us. That's why you're moving them forth as a recommendation to the board on tonight.
That is correct.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Witherspoon. Any additional questions at this time? Okay. Seeing none, hearing none, we will call for the vote. Let the record reflect the vote is 6 yeas and 1 abstention. The motion did pass, and the administrative appointment, as previously mentioned in 9-3, has been approved. 9-4, administrative appointment, Dr. Long.
The administration recommends the appointment of Ekman Montgomery to the position of principal at Eau Claire High School for the 23-24 academic year. The administration so recommends.
You've heard the recommendation of the administration. What's the pleasure of the board?
Move for approval.
It's been moved by Commissioner Bishop, second by Commissioner Myers. We'll now open the floor for question or discussion. Seeing none, hearing none, we will call for the vote. Let the record reflect the vote is 6 yeas, 1 abstention. The motion did pass. The administrative appointment, as previously stated in 9-4, has been approved. 9-5, administrative appointment.
The administration recommends the appointment of Latanya Williams to the position of principal at Lower Richland High School for the 23-24 academic year. The administration so recommends.
You've heard the recommendation of the administration. What's the pleasure of the board?
Move for approval.
Second.
Been moved by Commissioner Devine, second by Commissioner Clyburn. We'll open the floor for question or discussion. Seeing none, hearing none, we will call for the vote. Let the record reflect the motion did pass with 5 yeas and 2 abstentions. The administrative appointment, as previously stated in 9-5, has been approved. 9-6, administrative appointment, Dr. Long.
The administration recommends the appointment of Chrisella Goodman to the position of principal at Alcorn Middle School for the 23-24 academic year. The administration so recommends.
You've heard the recommendation of the administration. What's the pleasure of the board?
Move for approval.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Devine, second by Commissioner Bishop. We'll now open the floor for question or discussion. Seeing none, hearing none, we will call for the vote. Let the record reflect the vote is 6 yeas, 1 abstention. The administrative appointment, as previously stated in 9-6, has been approved. 9-7, administrative appointment.
The administration recommends the appointment of Tiffany Brooks to the position of principal at E.E. Taylor Elementary School for the 23-24 academic year. The administration so recommends.
You've heard the recommendation of the administration. What's the pleasure of the board?
Move for approval.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Devine, second by Commissioner Myers. We'll open the floor for question or discussion. Seeing none, hearing none, we will call for the vote. Let the record reflect the vote is 6 yeas, 1 abstention. The administrative appointment, as presented in 9-7, has been approved. 9-8, administrative appointment.
The administration recommends the appointment of Lakeisha Cook to the position of principal at Meadowfield Elementary School for the 23-24 academic year. The administration so recommends.
You've heard the recommendation of the administration. What's the pleasure of the board?
Move for approval.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Devine, second by Commissioner Clyburn. We'll now open the floor for question or discussion. Seeing none, hearing none, we will call for the vote. Let the record reflect 6 yeas, 1 abstention. The administrative appointment, as previously stated in 9-8, has been approved. We'll now move to 9-9, which is the hiring of personnel. Dr. Long.
The administration recommends hiring the teachers on the attached list for the 22-23 year. There's 1 teacher listed. And for the 23-24 academic year, there are 15 teachers listed. The administration so recommends.
You've heard the recommendation of the administration. What's the pleasure of the board?
Move for approval.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Bishop and second by Commissioner Devine.
Yes.
We'll now open the floor for question or discussion. Seeing none, hearing none, we'll call for the vote. Let the record reflect the vote is unanimous to the hiring of personnel as presented in 9-9. Thank you so much, Dr. Long.
You're welcome.
We'll move on now to the office of the board with our board report. We'll begin first with a card that was sent to us that our Secretary Clyburn will read at this time.
Thank you, Chairwoman Harris. This is a thank you card from the family of Doris Wright Levy Johnson, who passed away recently. And the card reads, "We thank God for her life, and we thank God for your love. Prayers and thoughtful expressions of sympathy. The family of Doris Wright Levy Johnson, who is also a friend and supporter of Richland 1." Thank you.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Clyburn. And let me also publicly thank the surrounding districts, not only in the state of South Carolina, but school districts that have reached out to us from other places within the United States, offering their condolences to our Richland 1 family in the passing of our 2 students that passed away recently. We certainly want to publicly thank them, want to thank the members of the South Carolina school boards that have also reached out to us to offer their condolences to our school district and our community and families. At this time, Commissioner Devine, are there any updates on the Evaluation Instrument Committee?
No, Madam Chair. Within the next week or two, we hope to have a couple dates solidified so we can have those meetings.
Okay, thank you so very much. At this time, we will go into a board report for the board members that attended our COSBA conference. And we're going to try to kind of keep this minimal. I know it's 5 of us that have to report, but we wanted to come back and share. Our board training is very serious, and it is something that you do not take lightly. You don't know how to navigate if you haven't been taught how to drive. And I believe that I heard a young man today talk about getting his license and how he had his permit. And, you know, being on this board is more than just sitting at this table and taking votes yay and nay or whatever else that we may do as board members. But there is a training that is so important that needs to happen because we have to stay abreast of what's happening in society, in the community, on a national level, et cetera. And one of the things I will point out to you, and Dr. Witherspoon, I talk about this all the time, we went up to a conference in D.C., and this is where we learned that there was going to be a teacher shortage. And a lot of times we're fussing about, we don't have teachers, we don't have teachers. We knew this in 2018 before COVID hit. And why do we know this? It's not just about COVID. It's not just about teachers leaving the classroom. There was never enough teachers in the program across the country. We got that from a national perspective. Those conferences teach us how to better prepare our districts for when the crisis does hit. So we knew that this 800,000 teacher shortage was coming, along with some other things. We knew that the funding rubric was going to be changed. We knew we've been educated on a lot of the things that we are dealing with today. So I'm appreciative of the board trainings that we receive, not just here on a local level, but also the trainings that we receive on a national level. And this conference that we attended, which is COSBA, and it's a consortium of about 28 to 30 states. So we wasn't just there at South Carolina, we were there with Mississippi, Alabama, Wyoming, Idaho, North Carolina, Georgia, you name them, they were all there. And this conference offered over 100 sessions. We couldn't attend them all. So what we do is we split up to make sure we can get to as many as possible so that we can bring back the information and share. So on tonight, you will hear from my colleagues. I want to thank Commissioner Devine, who is a member of the advisory board of COSBA, and the work that he is doing to make sure that the information that is being handed down to us is very relevant, and it is something that we can bring back not only to our state, but back to our district to make sure that we are doing all that we can to make things possible. And Dr. Witherspoon, to even one of your points, the robot that we saw tonight on the special ed presentation. All of this stuff comes out of these conferences. We see this stuff, we experience this stuff, we ask all of the right questions before this stuff comes to us. And that is why attending these conferences are so critically important. As we heard, there's an article out right now in the state about Dreambox. We've been using Dreambox for years, where the state is talking about districts that use Dreambox, Karen, do better on these assessments. District uses Dreambox. We learned about that at a conference. When we had the opportunity to share it to become a CEP district, which allows our children to eat for free, breakfast, lunch, and even dinner, Dr. Witherspoon. We got that information from a conference. We went to that conference to learn whether or not we qualified, and we did. So those conferences are so important to the work that this board does, because we don't know how to navigate through these challenges if we don't hear from the people that are out here making things happen for our districts. And I'm just appreciative that we were able to take a strong team there, and we were in some long sessions from sun up to sundown, but it was well worth it. So on tonight, we will begin our presentations. We're gonna start on this end with Commissioner Myers. Would you like to go first?
Sure.
All right, thank you.
The conference has started on May 29th through April 2nd. The theme of the conference to me was meeting the needs of the students in a challenged environment. And I attend a couple of sessions, but the ones that stick out to me that I brought back that I felt like would make me a better board member. One of the hot topics would be the crisis to healing. The school board role when it happened. I am a new board member, and I want to make sure that I could do the best that I can do when I'm in this position. He talks about some great details on what the school board role is before the crisis, during the crisis, and after the crisis. He also talks about how to avoid the gaps, to be better prepared when the crisis is coming. And during the event of the crisis, he talked about the communications, when you're supposed to report to the media, and how you're supposed to report to them. After leaving that session, I came out with about 15 questions. And I'm serious, and it stuck with me. And I was like, I wrote these questions down because as a board member, I was making decisions for the whole school districts, and there was simple question that I felt like I couldn't answer. In order for me to be better in this position, I felt like I need the answers to those questions, and they were security questions. It's not questions that we could put out there in the public. But I did what a board member is supposed to do. I had an opportunity to sit down and talk to the director of security, Mr. Brown. And, when I first came up to him, he was like, oh, Commissioner Myers. I was like, I'm just very curious. And it's just like a very unknown topic to me because I was unsure about a lot of the questions. And I'm going to just give out some of the questions. It was like, is the staff prepared when a crisis occurs? Do a teacher really know? Do she go to room 101 to help the staff to come out that room? Is the front desk prepared? Do they have their separate training on who do they communicate, when it happened, how does it happen? Is the crisis team put together to be fit for any situation? And what is some upcoming plan and future training that he have in mind that will come from Richland 1? Because believe it or not, Richland 1 is actually the go-to plan for all around the district here in South Carolina. And after I finished talking to Mr. Brown, I promise you all 15 questions was answered. I left with peace. I'm no longer wondering. And I was wondering because I made some of these decisions for this district, and I couldn't answer these questions when these questions came across. And I also want to talk about this one thing. What is the face of a model school? When I walk into this session, I really thought Richland 1 School District is the face of a model school. When I left this session, I realized Richland 1 is the face of a lot of model schools. To be honest, we don't get the credit that we deserve. There's a lot of things that we do first. There's a lot of things that we do better. And there's a lot of things that we put a statement on and we do not get recognized for it. I don't know if it's because of the board or because of the staff just don't get recognized enough. But when I left this conference, one thing I realized that we have to tell our own story. Just more of this meeting, the staff that came up here earlier, they told their own story. If you had any question about what is an ABA, you know what it is now. I also, before I leave, I'm going a little bit off topic, but I had an opportunity to do Chat with the Chair at W.A. Perry. I would like to put that in there. Once again, that experience was amazing, sitting with some middle school students. They definitely going to tell you the ins and out, the good and the bad. I had an opportunity to even talk about a little bit of security with the W.A. Perry students. They talk about how they was really, really prepared. They talk about some small things they would like to fix and work on. This will be right up in the email. I believe all my board members probably already received it by now. But I also had an opportunity to see the whole school come together and literally almost share tears because the SRO is now about to be moving into another location. And it's just amazing how these students will realize that she's no longer in a police uniform. She is a family member that would no longer be at their school. So I just had an opportunity just to hear that. I mean, it was so loud, I walked out the class to see what was going on. And it just amazed me to see at one point in time, students was, unaware police officer and people in uniform. But now it's part of the family. They understand them individually now because they see them on a day-to-day basis. So I'm done with mine. So I could pass it on to someone else.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Myers. And I think also in some of those presentations that you're talking about, because I think I circled back to one of them, school districts that had actually been in the shooting were there, from the school shootings in Texas and other places. So we heard from these districts. And one of the things that they said that I think we won't ever forget is you can never be prepared enough for this, because they thought they had done everything. Everything's in place. We're going to do this, we're going to do that. But that one slip up cost them so many lives. So to hear these districts telling us and other districts across the country on just make sure that plan is airtight, but even in the event that something happens, know that you can do all you can, and still yet something of this level of magnitude can occur. But to her point, what have you done beforehand, during, and after? We heard from a lot of districts that talked about the after and the meetup places and things that districts have to put in place that we can't talk about publicly, but you all know if you're in Richland 1 what we have to do. It was a powerful session because Dr. Witherspoon probably had no peace on the plane ride back. We were asking a million questions. Do we, how we, and the good thing is to know we have checks and balances in place to keep not only our students safe, but also our faculty and staff. And we'll talk a little bit more later about the metal detectors and how a lot of these districts across the country were in awe. I mean, we had a little entourage following us around, y'all asking questions, wanted more information about the things that we were doing. And before I go to Commissioner Clyburn, Dr. Witherspoon also presented at this conference on behalf of Richland 1. And we had probably about 9 to 10 states in our session. And the questions that they asked us, they even asked the board, how do you get your parents involved? How are y'all doing this? We gave them the idea of Chat with the Chair, that a lot of them, I've gotten some calls, are working to implement in the district, because we're gaining information and insight from our students, as Commissioner Bishop said earlier, that a lot of districts don't think about. Just a nice little lunch, sit down and tell me what's good. Tell me what we can do better. Because a lot of the things that you see, and I shared this with them, the devices that our children have came out of a Chat with the Chair. Student came in and handed me and Susie Dibble an essay that was 200 pages thick on why the girls wasn't going to be able to have babies, because they were chucking around with 35-pound books. And it led to this board and the superintendent at that time looking into what do we do differently. So those Chat with the Chairs are just sharing this with other districts. We gave a lot of insight, but we gained a lot of insight. Next, we have Commissioner Clyburn with her report.
Thank you, Chairwoman Harris. This probably, COSPA this year, May 29th, was probably one of the best ones
that I've attended thus far. I know I hadn't been on the board long, but I have attended a number of them, and it was just the range of issues that could come up as a challenge. They were covered. And the sessions that I attended, one of them was about making sure that you are your best self. You know, it was in the big ballroom. And, you know, a lot of districts were there in attendance, and she was very engaging, very positive, very upbeat, and she left you enthusiastic and just wanting to really get back to your classroom, you know, if you were a teacher in the classroom. But she gave you tips on, you know, how you could better give yourself self-care and how you can better create a better you so you can be a better teacher, a better person for your students. So I appreciated her for that. And another one that really impacted me a lot, I was speaking with Commissioner Devine about this one, about the poverty that exists in all of our communities and how we can be better stewards of the that poverty with the community that is experiencing poverty, and how partnerships can, you know, benefit attacking, you know, this problem. And one of the things that she addressed was what prevents us from addressing poverty itself. And one of the things she mentioned was not having a clear definition of poverty. You know, you can't even describe what poverty is. How do you know what it looks like? How do you know who the sufferers are? And being ignorant about what poverty is and how it impacts people, because it's not all about money and dollars. You know, it's not all about not having a home to live in. So, you know, and access to resources and supporting, you know, different classes, different social classes. So that was very impactful. And, you know, she just gave you, you know, different resources, gave us different resources to do your own research so that you can know how to individually go back to your own communities and address this problem. So, and of course, you know, you mentioned Dr. Witherspoon's session and the chat with the chair. You know, we're here, you know, doing chat with the chair all the time. And I think we kind of take it for granted, or at least I do, might take it for granted. They were so enthused and so just taken aback. I was surprised on, you know, how involved and how, you know, curious they were to find out more information about it. So it was fun to talk about because we do it, you know, and we're, you know, used to doing it right, you know, these days, but it was fun to talk about. And also the parent pep rally, that was another thing that they were very impressed about. You know, that one, I forgot which state, it might have been Iowa or which state he was from, but he was just wanting to know more about how you get parents there, how you get students to participate. And Dr. Witherspoon and Commissioner Chairwoman Harris, you know, gave them tips on, you know, how to get that done. And they were, you know, I was proud because of the reception that we got. So thank you, Chairwoman Harris.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Clyburn. Commissioner Bishop.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to read a quote. It says, when opposing interests cannot produce positive results in isolation, working together offers enhanced synergy and broader capability to support communities and better serve the public's interest always requires massive collaboration. That's Hall 2015. What I learned from this conference was that on a national level, we are still required to come together to figure a way out of everything we are challenged with in education. It took a massive collaboration for us to come out of COVID. It's going to take us a massive collaboration to come out of every challenge, including poverty. One of the challenges that was constantly reviewed or addressed was equity. When we look at equity, one of the things that provides equity to our school district is this leadership. It's this leadership at this table, the leadership in our schools, the leadership in our classroom. And so one of the sessions I went to was titled, "It's not a problem to solve, it's a polarity to manage." That many times, if we can find ourselves capable of just getting in the room, then maybe we can find our seat at the table. But when we can't get in the same room together because we have opposing interests, then that's the bigger challenge. So we may be trying to solve problems, but as a board, we got to solve our polarities. And with those polarities, what I learned is in one session, it had one of the presentations up there. You all saw the 3 scenarios where there were, barriers for the first 2 scenarios, but the third one, the barrier was removed. We have to ask ourselves as a board, what I learned from that session, are we the ones putting up barriers? Because of this type of leadership, any level of leadership, the people that literally are watching this board lead from the front as the spearhead of the organization, it may be bringing the barriers that prevent new hires, new talent being recruited here. And so what we have to do is face it with what the session taught me, fearless positivity, where you face your fears, but you progress towards growth. Your fear in this session is literally what propels you, because what they taught us in leadership and in humanity, your mind only has 2 responses, fight or fear. And sometimes when you're fighting, it pushes you back to fear. But when you face your challenge or your fear, it faces you towards your fight. And that's that growth opportunity. So I'm almost done, Madam Chair. This type of training, which you hear us pouring out, I think is what is going to continuously make this district more attractive and make this board more effective. But we got to be true to our own self. We got to be very true to our own self to say, are we really letting iron sharpen iron, or are we allowing our saw to be sharpened? And so the 2 last things is the way that we can continuously get stronger, the way that iron can sharpen iron, is that one session said you got to stay in your center lane. Like you have a lane that's kind of just going to keep going. Then you got a lane in the middle that's pacing everybody. Then you got a lane that's just flying by everybody. If you think about the center lane, it means keeping the main thing the main thing. It's about children. It's about what we're doing to make sure that what Vince Ford told us a long time ago, always be questioning how are the children. Finally, take this home with you. This was powerful. Future-ready students need future-ready leaders. Yes. If we are in the center lane, moving forward, then we're moving towards a brighter future. No one can drive forward looking in the rearview mirror. Our school district has a windshield opportunity that we saw tonight right in front of us, where the students were told that they can't get anywhere. They'll never have a future. But again, future-ready students require or need future-ready leaders. That's my takeaways from the conference.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Bishop. And Commissioner Devine, I'll let you bring up the rear, so I'll go next. The 2 sessions that I want to talk about, we were in several, was the one I couldn't stop talking to my colleagues about. Are we really preparing students for what's next? And when I went in that session, it started off with a video of an 18-wheeler truck going down the road with no driver. It then took me to McDonald's, where the food was being prepared by robots, and there was no staff. It then took me to a building that was being built, and I'm talking about laying the bricks, a robot, building a full building in less than 48 hours. And this session talked about where we're headed when it comes to technology. And one of the things that the presenter talked about was we're so anal about test scores and state assessments and tests and more tests. But are you really, states, preparing these children for what's next, for what's to come? And believe it or not, America is behind. Way behind. They took us to other countries at this conference, and we saw things in one of the poorest countries being done that we haven't even dreamed of here. And I'm gonna tell you, when you walked out of that session, you were scratching your head. But I spoke up in the conference, I did. I put my hand up and I said, my district, we have the 16 career pathways. And the presenter said, you all are onto something. That is how you bridge your young people to what's next. And if we don't do more of this, not just your district, but the states, if we don't do more of this, we're gonna have jobs out here with nobody to fulfill them. Because even though everything is being run by technology and robots, somebody's gotta repair them. Somebody's gotta program them. Somebody's gotta do the coding. And it just opened up my understanding a little better as a board member to say, are we really preparing them for what's next, Dr. Witherspoon? We are preparing our students for what's next. And as Commissioner Bishop said, tonight was evident of that, and all those presentations with even the language immersion, they talked about the necessity of our students knowing other languages, because they may get an opportunity in another country somewhere, and they're not even able to communicate. So as I sit there, and I've said this to my colleagues, we're on track. For the life of us, in that session, we couldn't understand all the testing. Are they reading? Are they writing? But as they said, right now you can ask Siri to do anything. Siri can do your homework. Siri will find you the nearest restaurant. Let's be clear. You don't even have to make a phone call no more. You don't even have to remember them. You just say, hey, Siri, call so-and-so and so. And Siri's gonna do it. That is the world that we're in. And they talked about, Dr. Witherspoon, even putting those devices in our young people's hand as early as we get them. Because that is the way of the world. Writing will become obsolete real soon. They talked about the imaging of checks and signing your checks through a code now versus you putting your signature on the line. I mean, it was mind-boggling. But this presentation talked about what's next. And the only thing I could really relate to, honestly, was the technology piece and Siri, because this stuff was so far above our heads that we've got to prepare our young people. When we were in school, it was about cursive writing and the synonyms and homonyms and all them other nyms. But now, it's a whole nother ball game. It's a whole nother ball game. There were states there talking about how they've got a law in place, can't think of the state right now, that they still pump your gas. Is that Jersey? Was that Jersey that said that? Oh, yeah. It was Jersey. Because they require that their students have customer service skills. That's a requirement. So it was an amazing session. And then the other session that I was in, and I'm gonna share with my colleagues a little bit more on Friday, so I'm gonna just briefly touch on this. We gave ourselves, as board members, our own IEPs. As a board member, Dr. Brazar. An individual equity plan. And you had to ask some questions. Are you empathized or are you sympathized? Where is your loyalty and passion for children coming from, that you feel sorry for the children or you empathize with the child? And how you use that empathy to better ensure that all means all. All. So it was a great session. And lastly, this was a joint session that all of us were in, was a self-help. That board members have got to breathe, relax, stop stressing as we did over spring break, because some things started happening at the beginning of spring break. We had lost 2 children. but how we've got to better take care of ourselves, that we are able to function. Because what a lot of folk don't realize, sitting in these elected seats, it's not a cakewalk. It's a lot. You get phone calls, emails, text messages, all kind of stuff in your DMs, you name it. Anyway, they'll even stop by your house. But you have to be willing and open to help your parents, help your faculty, staff, students, your superintendent's team, or whoever that needs it. So again, I want to say to my colleagues, remember, we must take care of ourselves as well, so that we are sharp when we sit at this table to make decisions and when we interact with our students and staff. Dr. Devine.
That's right, speaking to existence. Well, listen, my colleagues have said all that need to be said. I'll do more of the technical kind of stuff. So Thursday we had, well, the first day, Thursday we had the Urban Boys Alliance. And so just real quick, Urban Boys Alliance is a part of COSBA, which is the Consortium of State School Boards Association. There's no additional cost to be a part of UBA. What we do is we are urban, suburban, and rural, and we are across the country, as Chairwoman Harris said, 23 states initially. Now we're up to 28 states across the country. And I think that in the next several years, we'll probably garner probably 90+% of all the other states as well. We recognize that at UBA that there are some challenging environments and issues that are not unique only to urban districts, but also suburban and rural districts. And so what we do is that we voluntary group of people from across the country. We have several guiding principles. One is focused and responsive. Another is transparent and effective. Another is reflective and relevant, and then representative and accountable. And then lastly, our governing body is made of board of directors, which consists of 18 voting members, one non-voting ex officio, which is our new executive director, Tom from the great state of Chicago. And so he's our new ED. We got 3 EDs on the UBA board. We have 8 board members from across the state. And across the country, I'm sorry. And so that's that. And then just real quick, some of the meetings that I went to, 7 signs of effective board members, and I'll just highlight those real quick. One is that we have a clear vision for our district, which I think everyone here does. Next is that we set goals, which we do every year. Next is we focus on student achievement, and we had a lot of conversations. We saw that again on tonight. We build positive relationships through the district. We connect with our community. 6, we strategically use our resources. And then 7, we monitor the progress using the data that is collected. And there were several other general topics, of course, mental health, board superintendent relationships, highly effective boards, how to increase student achievement, and several others. So at this time, Madam Chair, I will conclude my report and turn it back over to you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Commissioner Lomanak, did you have a report that you wanted to give on tonight?
I did. I've got just one point I wanted to raise. This will be the last time I bring this up, but the board has gotten an email, at least one email about this. I've gotten several from teachers, from parents, and at least one administrator. I know Dr. Witherspoon has gotten emails about this. I've spoken to him about this. I've spoken to Mr. Brown about this. Our failure to provide Wi-Fi access to teachers on their personal devices is a safety issue. If you listen to the 911 calls at these schools where incidents happen, those 911 calls are made on cell phones. At some of our schools, there are huge areas that cannot get cell service. And if something happens in those areas and that teacher's there and they can't call out because we didn't give them access to our Wi-Fi, that's a problem. And I've been raising this for 6 months. This teacher has been raising this for 6 months. And we have not fixed it. And all we have to do, I used to have access at Richland 1 on my personal device as a teacher. It's not as if we haven't done this before. And other districts do provide access, Wi-Fi access on personal devices. So I am at a loss as to why this teacher has emailed at least 6 times, and why parents are continuing to email, and why administrators are emailing about this, and we haven't fixed it. And I would just love someone to explain to me why this is not a safety issue, and that the risk of providing Wi-Fi access to teachers outweighs the safety risk of teachers not being able to call 911 when something happens.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Lomanak. Dr. Witherspoon?
Yes, I would like to state, first of all, we do have systems in place and where people can call. We do have, and this is something we are working on, and I don't want anybody to say, okay, there's not a way to contact the office, there's not a way to notify 911 and those types of things. Those, we're talking about two issues. We also, through E-rate, which is an item that approved today, what we can't do is just open our network up. And we have 4,000 more folks on the network. We're required by the federal government and then in E-rate, which we get money from, to have filters in place and all of that. IT is and has been looking at some options and ways to do that doesn't violate E-rate, that doesn't put our network at risk. So that is being looked at, and that has been shared as well.
Chairman Harris, I would respond to that.
Commissioner Lomack, you can give me a second, please? Thank you so much, Dr. Witherspoon. Okay, Commissioner Lomack?
There are absolutely instances where people can't call 911. That happens now in classrooms, in the cafeterias, in some schools. There is not the ability to call 911.
There is the ability to call the office.
How?
Every classroom has a phone.
And most of the time, those phones are in exactly the place we are told we are training our teachers not to be. My phone was right next to the door. And y'all have trained us not to be there, and for our students not to be there. And if you're at the cafeteria at Brennan Elementary, because I was there for 3 hours with Miss Weston grading science fair projects, there is no phone and there's no Wi-Fi service. There's no cell service at all. So I don't know how these other districts are complying with E-rate, and I don't know how we complied with E-rate when I walked into Richland 1 every single day with the BYOD program. But somehow we did it. And I'm just struggling to figure out how this entire year has gone by with these teachers concerned about this issue. And here we are in April, almost May, and we're saying there are processes and we're looking into it. I just think that's too long. I think they deserve more than that, and I think the people that have reached out to us are right to be concerned about it.
Okay, Dr. Witherspoon, is Mr. Brown here tonight to speak to that? Because I do know we have to protect our internet so we don't get hacked and information is held at ransom and
we'd be happy to share some more information.
If you can bring some more
during executive session on that.
Right, and if we can do it in executive session, because for safety and security reasons, we have to protect our schools in our discussions. If you can bring that back to us in a board executive session in greater detail, we would greatly appreciate it. Commissioner Weston, you have a report on tonight?
Yes, I didn't go to the conference, but I did have an enjoyable time with the students at C.A. Johnson for Chat with the Chair. It was a great opportunity to meet them, to talk with them, and they are brutally honest. One of the things that they said that they were not concerned about someone coming into their school causing problems. It's bringing the community that's already there into the school with the students who are there. They also voiced the fact that they wanted to know why they're not being shared information. They said they had benches in the courtyard and the benches were removed and no one said why, and they're not allowed to use them. But the things that they brought up were things that saying you're high school students and you need to know why those things were taken away from you. And they said rightly so. They love their guidance counselors, but said the administration is not so forthcoming. And so they want things differently. And they talked about, why can't you just give us driver's education so that it'll cut down on parents' insurance, as well as give them some opportunities to have those things that they needed, and ask for a third lunch, because they said they can't go to the bathroom and go to class in 4 minutes when they're walking across the campus, so they wanted class time extended or open more bathrooms or fix the bathrooms that they have. They were very much forthcoming. Eva sent out the report sharing what they shared, and the things that they were asking for were easy to fix. So I encourage you to read what they said and see about addressing the locks on the bathroom and opening up more for the students in the locations where they're needed. Thank you.
Thank you so very much for your report. And yes, the board did receive those reports in writing, and protocol when it comes to board reports. Eva does disseminate that information to the entire board with the superintendent as well. He shares that information with his EDs and also with those principals. And a lot of times the things that our students share with us, they have levels. As I share with them in our chat with the chairs, there are things that we as board members can do, can fix. But then there are some things, and one of the things that we empower our students to do, some of the issues I've heard, we don't have pep rallies. Well, you got a student council. Put your that's your governing body there on the campus. Employ them to work with the principal to get some of these things going. So a lot of times we have to guide them even when we have to chat with the chair so that they know they have immediate help on the campus. That they can go to put some things in place as it relates to something that may be a safety issue, a safety concern. I'll be honest with you, Dr. Witherspoon will tell you, before I leave the parking lot, I've made a call. Hey, there's a concern about, might want to look into this right now, and everything. So I appreciate that report. We appreciate all of the reports on the night that has been given. As you all can see, we've been a very busy board. And that is what we're supposed to do. We don't need to be a passive board. We need to be about our Father's business, and that is to make sure that our children all have the greatest learning experience possible here in our district, also with being accountable and responsible to this district. At this time, we will move on to our Office of the Superintendent. And I'm sorry, I got one announcement, Dr. Witherspoon, that I was asked to make. On Saturday, the Lower Richland clusters of schools will host their annual field day event. If you've never been to a field day event where all of our elementary schools come together and compete, you will see it on Saturday. It's a great event that we've been putting on down in that community for quite some time through the Alumni Foundation there that has a program called Diamond Festival, where they give out scholarships to students but also engage our young people. It's going to be a great event. A lot of individuals that have summer camps will be there with vendors, tables where kids can sign up. Our very own Summer Soar program will be there. The mobile library bus will be there from Richland County Public Library, and a lot of other things will be there. So if you have an opportunity, come through and watch our kids compete, as well as have some good food and some good fun and some games there on Saturday. And that begins, I believe, Mr. Glover, at 10 o'clock on Saturday. That concludes our board report. At this time, we'll turn over to Dr. Witherspoon with his report.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Just before spring break, we recognized 520 of our high school students who have completed career and technical education, CTE, programs of study this year. Our 2023 CTE completer ceremony was held on April 6th at the Columbia Metropolitan Convention Center. During the program, the overall and school-level CTE Students of the Year were recognized. Their names and pictures are posted on our website at richland1.org. The video of the ceremony is also posted on our website under R1 TV On Demand. Congratulations to all of our CTE completers, and kudos to CTE Director Chris Dinkins and his team for an outstanding event. Also, just before spring break, we learned that A.C. Moore Elementary School has been recertified as an Arts in Basic Curriculum, or ABC, school by the Arts in Basic Curriculum Institute. The certification is awarded to schools that show exemplary efforts in providing quality, comprehensive arts education to students. The certification lasts 3 years, and schools must reapply to maintain it. Congratulations to A.C. Moore Principal LaQuana Aldridge and her faculty and staff and students. Parents looking for fun activities that will also keep their children learning throughout the summer can register them for our Summer Soar programs and camps. This year's Summer Soar will be held from June 5th through July 21st. Programs and activities offered for students at all grade levels includes sports, robotics, music, visual arts, theater, science, technology, math, reading, and much, much more. Sessions will be offered at the elementary school, middle school, and high school sites throughout the district, as well as sites in the community. Some programs are free, while others may have fees. The Summer SOAR brochure is posted on our website, and it includes registration information and other details about programs and camps. Printed copies of the brochure will also be sent home to parents by students. Parents who have questions or need assistance are encouraged to call our Summer SOAR hotline at 803-400-1692. Our 6th Annual Early Learners Conference will be held Saturday, April 29th from 8:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. at W.J. Keenan High School. The theme is Passport to School Readiness. There's no cost to attend. The conference is held to provide information about engaging learners and what it means to prepare children to enter kindergarten. Parents, grandparents, child care directors, and providers, pre-K teachers, instructional assistants, school support staff, and administrators are especially encouraged to attend. The conference is sponsored by our Early Childhood Education Department and Thrive Richland. This Saturday, April 22nd, Richland 1 is co-sponsoring the Inquiry Matters Conference along with Richland 2. The USC PDS, the Center for Educational Partnerships, and the USC College of Education. The conference will be held from 8 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. at the Center for Inquiry on Summit Parkway. Classroom teachers, students, coaches, university partners, and leadership teams will show what teaching and learning through inquiry looks like, sounds like, and feels like. On-site registration will begin at 7:45 a.m., and the conference is free to all Richland 1 staff members. Richland 1 is proud to be a Purple Star District, a designation that reflects our commitment to have programs and resources in place to support military families. April is the month of the military child, and this Friday, April 21st, is Purple Up for Military Kids Day in Richland 1. Department of Defense Education activity communities observe Purple Up Day to show support and thank our military children for their strength and sacrifices. Purple indicates that all branches of the military are supported. We ask everyone to wear purple on Friday to show your support for our military children. Post your pictures on social media using the hashtag R1PurpleUp. There are several other education-related observances in April. They include School Library Month, National Autism Month, Occupational Therapy Awareness, Week of the Young Child, which was April 1st through 7th, National Assistant Principals Week, which was April 3rd through 7th. Thank you to our school librarians, our special services team, our early childhood educators and support staff, and our assistant principals for all you do every day. This week, April 17 to 21, is Public School Volunteer Week. The national observance recognizes and celebrates the contributions of persons who volunteer to get involved and support their local public schools. Thank you to all of our volunteers for donating their time, talent, and resources to support our schools, students, and staff. Next week, April 23rd through 29th, is Administrative Professionals Week, and Wednesday, April 26th, is Administrative Professionals Day. And Madam Chair and board members, take a point of privilege at this time to certainly recognize, first of all,
Now you have to call in names.
Eva Wilson, the board's administrative assistant, and certainly Dana Bamberg, assistant to the superintendent. These annual national observances recognize the important role secretaries, our administrative assistants, executive assistants, database specialists, receptionists, clerical assistants, and all other administrative professionals for the role that they play in school districts, businesses, and organizations across the country. Thank you to all of our administrative professionals for helping to keep our district operating effectively and efficiently. Two more items, but next to the last item, Madam Chair, members of the board, nominations are open for the 2023 Richland 1 Hall of Fame induction class. If you know of a Richland 1 graduate or a non-Richland 1 graduate who has made significant contributions to the district, their profession, or the community, we encourage you to nominate that person. Nominations must be submitted online. The deadline to submit nominations is Friday, September 15th at 5 p.m. The nomination packet, which includes the eligibility criteria and the nomination form, is posted on our website. And if you need additional information, contact the Office of Communications at 803-231-7504. 231-7504. And finally, Madam Chair, members of the board, you all alluded to the conference, and certainly the conference, the session that I presented at, board members, you all were gracious to be there, and we had a repeat session, and there were more attendees at the repeat session than there were initially, but I certainly want to thank all of our board members and Madam Chair that we co-presented on the second day. And got good information, again, sharing, the board members shared, and they talked with other board members. I certainly gave superintendent perspective. But I want to end this evening with the video that we shared during that presentation, and we did have a lot of districts to positively comment on that. And this is the video done by our communications department.
Welcome to Richland 1. Serving over 21,000 students, Richland 1 is South Carolina's 10th largest school district, geographically stretching across nearly 500 square miles with 52 schools and centers in urban, suburban, and rural communities. One of the Columbia area's largest employers, with more than 4,000 teachers, administrators, and support staff. Each member of the Richland 1 team plays an important role in promoting and supporting student success. From their first day of pre-kindergarten to their graduation day, our mission is to engage, educate, and empower all students to achieve their potential and dreams. We challenge and nurture our students to attain academic and personal excellence and pursue their passions. Richland 1 is a leader in transforming lives through education. We set high expectations and offer rigorous academic programs designed to prepare our students for college and careers in a globally competitive world. Our extensive and expanding portfolio of options and personalized learning experiences meet the diverse needs of our students while appealing to their interests and cultivating their talents. We are building tomorrow's workforce today. Our high school graduation rate has surpassed the state average for 4 consecutive years. Our programs and partnerships provide our students with many competitive advantages. Along with internship and apprenticeship opportunities, students can take college courses and earn industry certifications while in high school. Richland 1 was the first district in the state to offer all 16 nationally recognized career clusters. Our commercial driver's license training program is one of only 6 nationwide. Our prestigious distinctions and points of pride also include being home to South Carolina's only Challenger Learning Center for aerospace education. And we are proud to be a Purple Star School District in recognition of our support of military families. Learners, leaders, educators, innovators. Building on a rich history and tradition of educational excellence, we are Richland 1.
Madam Chair, this concludes my report.
Thank you so much, Dr. Witherspoon, for your report and for reporting out as well from the conference. To my colleagues, I know we couldn't talk as much as we want to, but we can talk a little bit more on Friday at our board retreat. Dr. Witherspoon, thank you so much for your report. We'll open the floor at this time for any questions or comments that anyone may have for the superintendent. Commissioner Devine?
Dr. Witherspoon, the conference on the 29th, what's the location?
The Early Childhood
Yes, sir.
Conference, Keenan High School.
Keenan, okay, very good. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Any additional questions for the superintendent at this time? Okay. Dr. Witherspoon, on the funds that we approve, is that the retention bonus funds?
Yes.
Okay, so we did approve retention bonus
You
funds.
did approve that. We will, staff will work on getting a message out, hopefully by the end of this week.
Okay, thank you so very much. Any additional questions or comments for the superintendent? Okay, seeing none, hearing none, have one last announcement, and that is that the next regular board meeting of the Richland 1 Board of Commissioners will be held on Tuesday, May the 9th at 7 p.m. at Dreer High School at 3319 Millwood Avenue here in Columbia, South Carolina. Thank you so very much, and may you all have a good night.